Good evening, everyone, and welcome to Dining with Mr. Wright. I am Chef Mark Wright. Thank you for joining us for the Sunday episode of our next version of this show. This week we're meeting with Chelsea Porter, who is a local photographer to the Pilsen, Chicago area, who has recently published a book that celebrates, I guess you say, the female form. And she has graced us with her vegetarian taste buds on this episode where we created a whole vegetarian meal. Where we did a mushroom and asparagus risotto. We did a goat cheese tart. We also did a nice summer dessert of berries and lemon zabillon. So I'd like you to sit back, relax, enjoy the show, and I'll be around if you have some questions. You want to talk about what was prepared in the meal. And also, Chelsea will be joining us in the chat also to talk about her book and where we can purchase it at. So sit back and enjoy, and let's have a good episode. Welcome to Dining with Mr. Wright. I'm your host, Chef Mark Wright. Now, we like to do our Sunday dinners, and everyone loves a good pot roast or pork tenderloin for Sunday dinner. But this Sunday dinner, we're going to do a vegetarian version of everything. So when you go to most restaurants and you say, I'm a vegetarian, I don't eat meat or fish, a lot of times they like to serve you a vegetable medley of frozen vegetables or whatever's left in the kitchen. Well, this time we're going to take it to another level. We're going to do a goat cheese tart with pine nuts and raisins. We're going to do a wild mushroom risotto. We're going to do a roasted berry with a lemon zabillon. And the last one we're going to have is an eggplant pasta without any actual pasta. I'm actually going to use eggplant as my noodles. Now, to help me with that, I have Chelsea Porter, who is our vegetarian taster for today. And Chelsea is doing photography around Pilsen, and actually she is the actual photographer that photographed me. So she's going to help me cook today. We're also going to talk about her new book that she has coming out, and have some good food. So Chelsea, how's it going?
Great.
We got some good eats. You're a vegetarian, you don't eat any meat. I don't know why, but you don't eat any meat. That's fine. But we're going to do some food that you can make in your home after I'm gone. It's not easy, it's not hard to do. You can share with friends who aren't vegetarians, who kind of get them on the vegetarian bandwagon. And when we come back, we'll talk a little bit about your new photography book you have, and you can help me cook.
All right.
So we'll be back, and we'll talk about some food. So what we're going to do, we're going to start with the eggplant pasta because it takes about 30 minutes for this to get ready. And what you're going to do is you're going to get just regular eggplant. You can find it at your market, Dominic's, Jewel, wherever you shop at. And you're going to cut the tops off. There's a little green top on top. I've already cut the top off. And we're going to peel this a little bit. And I'm just peeling it off to about there. So I want a little bit of the bottom left. You can use a knife. You can use a peeler, like a vegetable peeler. Mm-hmm. It's just really kind of your personal preference. And what you're going to do is you're going to peel it. And once I peel these, I'm going to slice it into maybe 1/4 inch thick slices. And I'm going to salt this. And then the reason for salting is eggplant is a heavy water vegetable. And the salt will draw the water out so that we can saute it like fettuccine noodles. And so most places you go to, one of the options they're going to give you is always a pasta. And the pasta is usually just okay. I can have pasta anywhere. But, this is kind of a unique twist on pasta for anyone who is either vegetarian or trying to cut back on kind of your calories. Now, in this dish, it's very simple. It's cream, eggplant, tomatoes. I know you're not a big fan of tomatoes, but we have a few tomatoes in there. And a little bit of crushed red pepper to kind of add a little bit of heat on the back side of it. And that's it. It's a real simple dish. Takes about 30 minutes to let it, with salt on it to drain the water out, and about 8 minutes to cook. So this is a dish actually you can make on a weekday. You can make it on a Sunday. Anytime you want to make it, it's an easy dish to make. So we get this all sliced up. I do about 2 eggplants, which should be enough for about 4 people. Depending on how hungry your guests are. And a lot of times I like to serve this more as a starter course. And since we're doing kind of an Italian theme, That's kind of why we're doing a risotto and eggplant. So
Okay.
we'll get this salted and bleached. I'm going to actually put them on there.
Okay.
And we'll get them salted. And we'll start on working on our tart and our risotto. So once we get that, we'll be back. All right, so now we have our eggplant.
Mm-hmm.
It's all salted, and we'll let that leach out. So while we're waiting for that, we're going to talk about our mushroom risotto.
Okay.
Now, mushroom risotto is, you know, it's kind of a hearty dish.
Mm-hmm.
You know, some people are afraid to make a risotto because they don't want to worry about the time. They don't want to deal with the, you know, the constant stirring. But risotto is pretty easy. It's an easy dish. It's not a lot of ton of ingredients, and it takes about 20 minutes of your time. We're going to cover that, and then actually we're going to make the tart also at the same time.
Okay.
So, let's do the tart first, and then we'll do the risotto, because the tart will go in, and we'll do the risotto at the same time, and everything will finish right on time.
All right.
So, for the tart, now you can get fancy. You can make your own dough if you like.
Okay.
But
I don't usually do that.
You don't?
I don't make my own doughs.
Well, being that, we're going to go something a little easy.
I don't really know what you're talking about when you say make your own.
You can make your own. Dough is just flour, water, eggs, a little salt. You know, easy peasy.
Kneading or
A little kneading.
Right.
You know, you let it rest. Roll it out.
I don't have a roller either. How long
You
does it
roll it
rest?
by hand. And then you can, 30 minutes or so, you got your dough. But for you, we're going to go with puff pastry.
Let's do that.
Already,
I like that.
already done. All you have to do is, you know, straighten it out, and you have a tart dough.
All right.
But you can make your own tart dough if you like. But for this dish, we're going to do a puff pastry. And on top of this dish, I'm going to do some goat cheese, which is great. I love the tangy taste of goat cheese.
I do too.
So, you know, you take a puff pastry out. It takes about 30 minutes to thaw out. So it stays frozen. But you just basically, you're going to lay it out flat. And you're going to fix the little, like, crease they have here.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, we got that. And then what you're going to do is you want to score the edge, because what I want, I scored because I want the pastry to rise on the edge,
Okay.
but not rise in the middle.
Okay.
So I'm going to score really just the outside area,
Oh.
and
really?
you'll make your edges come up like that, and then you'll have your filling in the middle.
Wow, how cool is that?
And what's going in there is some Swiss chard,
Oh.
which is a great green leafy vegetable. I love Swiss chard. Either I'll use regular Swiss chard or rainbow chard.
Mm-hmm.
Both of those are really good. And then also I'm going to put some ricotta, a little bit of egg in it, and the Swiss chard. And we're going to top that with pine nuts. I made this earlier, and basically it's sauteed onions, pine nuts, currants, which are like baby raisins, like that, like baby raisins, and a little bit of reduced balsamic vinegar, and a little bit of olive oil, and so a little bit of relish we're just going to put right on top. All right, so once we're doing this, we're going to make a little egg wash. An egg wash is basically an egg and a little bit of water, or milk, but we're going to choose a water. And for this, I'm going to use an extra large egg. Normally I would use my pastry brush, but of course, there was a day I forgot the pastry brush. But you can use a pastry brush, you could use your finger, and really all I'm doing is going along the edge where I made the cut. And that's going to give it a nice golden color on the edge here. Now, when I make the Swiss chard is pretty easy. Pretty much it's thyme, some shallots, and I sauteed that with a little bit of salt and pepper with my Swiss chard. And so I let it cool off overnight. And like I said, just salt and pepper. It's a real simple mix to make. and of course goat cheese. And I do a little bit of creme fraiche in there. It's kind of, and the creme fraiche also has that tangy taste too. So kind of thin out the goat cheese a little bit, add a little bit more tang to it.
Okay.
So we will mix these two together with an egg, and we'll be ready to get this pizza made and put it on a sheet tray. And about 25 minutes in the oven at 400 degrees, you'll have your goat tart. So we have 6 ounces of goat cheese in there.
Okay.
We're gonna do a quarter cup of creme fraiche. And creme fraiche you can find Whole Foods, Fox and Nobel. I really don't find it at Dominick's very often, but you can find it at that store, those 2 stores. And I like the creme fraiche. It comes from the brand they use is actually a really good brand. So I like to taste the creme fraiche. You can make creme fraiche yourself if you like.
Here he goes.
What? I'm going to tell you.
Getting complicated.
It's just sour.
I have a blender.
It's sour cream. You let sour cream sit with lemon juice.
Oh, that's it?
That's it.
Well, okay.
It's like you make ricotta cheese, and a lot of people
I can do that.
See? You can do that.
I got that one.
You can make ricotta cheese also.
All right.
Ricotta cheese is made with salt, whole milk, and vinegar.
Yeah.
See? The ricotta I like to use, if you're going to use a store brand ricotta, I always get a whole milk ricotta,
Okay.
which is, they make skim, but you want the full flavor. And I always try to get one that actually has only milk, vinegar, and salt if I have to buy a different one. That's all that it uses in there. You know, they have some other ones that use like, carrageenan or guar gum. You know, I just try to, if I'm not making it myself, I try to get a product that is natural, only has what ingredients I know that I make it out of. So I try to keep it that way. We got the ricotta, the creme fraiche. We're gonna throw in 1 egg yolk and a tablespoon of olive oil. Egg yolk and a tablespoon of olive oil.
That would be the big spoon.
That would be the large, yes.
That would be the big one.
You can do it by eye. I know how you like to work that by eye. You can do it by eye if you like. And basically, you're just going to stir that up. And like always, like I say, everything that you make sure you season every layer of it. So I've seasoned the Swiss chard. I'm going to season this ricotta here with a little bit of salt. Because everything takes, if you don't season one layer, then it makes the food taste bland just by being off by a little bit. So everything gets seasoned. So we got yolk, ricotta, and then we're going to put creme fraiche in here. Okay. All right, and we're ready to put it together. So we're going to put our ricotta mixture down.
Okay.
We're going to put our green on top of that, and then goat cheese on top of that.
All right, let's do it.
And put our ricotta mixture on top, on the bottom here. Then you want to stay within the border here.
So you scored it, and it's gonna make.
It's gonna make like a border around the around the outside. I like ricotta. Some people you can do more or less. It's kind of your call on it. But we're gonna use all our ricotta. And this is 1 bunch of Swiss chard, and like I said, about 6 ounces of goat cheese. And what we're going to do, we're going to actually spread the goat cheese on the bottom. And then we're going to put some on top of the Swiss chard too. like I said, Swiss chard with just shallots and a little bit of salt and pepper.
Oh, that looks so good.
And I just let it, like I said, just let it cool off.
And it cooks for how long?
This will cook for about 25 minutes.
All right. That I can do.
Something else to remember is if you put it in the refrigerator,
Mm-hmm.
you want to make sure you kind of wring out your Swiss chard, because if it sits, it would have collected a little bit of water.
Okay.
So, okay. And more goat cheese on top. I don't think you never have too much cheese, really. And once we get that going, we'll talk about your new book you have coming out. And now, when it's out now currently?
It's out now, yes.
And where can people kind of get the?
Through my website,
Okay.
chelseasporter.net.
All right. So why don't you tell me about the new book you have?
It's called Wabi Sabi, and it's a series of female fine art nudes that were all taken in my bed, actually.
Alrighty.
It's celebrating the natural female form. So I do a lot of fashion work, and I like to just make sure that I'm putting out positive images of women as well. So.
How long have you been working on that?
It took about 10 months to finish.
Okay.
So it was a very interesting, beautiful and interesting experience. A little crazy, but I'm very happy with the way it turned out. I'm very excited about it. So.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
Now, is this your first book that you've put out, or?
This is my first book that I put out. I'd like to do 4 volumes of it. So, I plan to do more work.
Okay.
Around the same concept, and it's basically a Japanese viewpoint of appreciating the imperfections in things and the imperfections in life. And so, yeah, I'd like to do 4 volumes of it.
Now, what made you get into photography?
Oh, I've been doing photos since I was like 6 years old, so I guess it's just my life. My great-grandfather was a photographer, my mother's a photographer, so I've just always been around art and photography and fashion and culture, and I guess it was a way that I could express myself as a child.
Mm-hmm.
And tell my own stories and capture other people's stories. So it's kind of just what I've been doing, like, all this time.
All right. So, what would you say the most memorable photograph you've ever taken is?
Oh, wow. One
See?
memorable
See?
one.
See, oh.
One memorable one.
If you have a couple, I'll take a couple.
Yeah, I do. I think some of the most memorable ones that I've taken that was definitely at the Rainbow Family Gathering in Waters Meet, Michigan. I think I was there in like 2005, and it was just thousands of people in the woods doing whatever people would do if it was a non-violent, peaceful world and there were no laws. So it was really...
That's a good way to sum that up.
It was really beautiful, and it was really amazing to just see people in complete harmony and bartering things between each other and watching out for each other. I've never been anywhere where I could leave a sports car and a whole bunch of photography equipment alone in the woods and nobody stole anything. So it was a beautiful, peaceful environment. I got some fantastic shots out of it, and it's definitely a memorable experience.
Okay. And when did you start doing photography professionally?
In 2001,
Okay.
after I graduated high school, I just started out there and was like, I'll work in the details of college and so forth later, but I know this is where I'm going, so I might as well start making some money at it. So, yeah, I started freelancing as soon as I graduated.
So what we're going to do is, in this risotto, we're going to do asparagus, which I have blanched off in just a little bit of salt water. We're going to saute some shiitake mushrooms, which you said those are your favorite.
Yes.
And then we're going to use something I like to use, they're called trumpet mushrooms. These are royal trumpets. They have really good, like, mild flavor. And shiitakes are more of a very kind of a robust, like mushroom I want to call it. But I like to use trumpets. And they look similar to a trumpet, I guess you'd say. And all we're going to do basically is just slice them up, just like that. And we're going to saute that with our shiitakes. We're also going to throw some peas in there. It is pea season. If you can find them fresh, by all means get them.
Okay.
If you can't, you know, you can get them frozen. But I like to get fresh peas if possible. But yeah, we'll do that. And we're going to, basically, a lot of times you have risotto and they'll do a vegetable risotto for you. And they will saute the vegetable and then they'll throw the rice in. We're going to do it separately. Actually, we're going to do the asparagus and the mushrooms in a separate pan altogether.
Okay.
That way we can put that actually on top of the risotto. And being you're vegetarian, some vegetarians don't eat chicken stock or beef stock. So you can buy vegetable stock, but for me, when it comes to vegetable stock, I find the vegetable stocks are very kind of plain. So what I did was I made a mushroom stock, homemade mushroom stock, and pretty much that's a pound of mushrooms with carrots, celery, onion, and I basically put it in my food processor and ground everything up so it's really finely ground. Put it in a pot, 2 quarts of water, let that cook for about 45 minutes, strained it, put it back in the pot, threw some more water in, cook another 45 minutes, then I put them together and cook it all the way down to about 4 cups of mushroom stock. And it's really fun. And add a little bit of curry, because curry seems to bring out the flavor of mushrooms. So there's a little bit of curry in there to help bring the mushroom taste out of my mushroom stock. So we'll get that prepared. And like I said, it takes about 20 minutes or so for a good risotto. And when I make risotto, you can use 2 types of rice. I use a borio, but there's also a caramel rice, which is another small grain. And specifically when you make risotto, you have to use a risotto rice. You can't make it out of white rice. You can't make it out of jasmine rice. It's not a real risotto dish because those rices are not starchy enough. And I think the nice thing about risotto rice is that it's a starchy rice and it soaks up all that goodness. Whatever you're putting in, that stock, you know, the wine, whatever you're using to make with it, it soaks it all right in. So it's a really good starchy rice I like to use for that. So what we're going to do is get our mushrooms chopped, and then we're going to start making our risotto. And what I do usually is I get a pot on with my stock to get my stock warm, because you want to keep the stock warm while cooking the risotto. So we're going to do pot on the stove here, and then you can also use any kind of pan. This is a kind of a rounded pan that I like to use for making my risotto. It kind of helps you get around the edges. Some people have called it a risotto pan. I just like to call it a nice rounded pan. Okay. You don't have to get a specific pan for risotto. Some people say you need one, but I don't think you do. So we're going to bring the stock up to a nice, not boiling, but a nice simmer.
Okay.
And then you add that maybe about a half a cup at a time to the risotto. Basically, you are cooking the rice, adding the stock, and letting the stock soak up. Then you're adding more stock. And it's better to have enough stock to do it, and then instead of pouring it all in, and it's too soupy or the consistency is not what you want. And of course, a nice risotto is never complete without a little bit of Parmesan Reggiano. Now you can use bagged Parmesan. You can get, you can go to a cheese shop and get fresh Parmesan and grate it yourself. It's really all personal preference. I think there's some good bag ones out there. I try to get fresh Parmesan, but like I said, today we're going to use a bag to kind of show you that all this stuff can be made without having to go to a specialty store if you don't want to. Even this rice I purchased at Whole Foods. So pretty much you can get everything you want and use. I think even Dominic's carries risotto rice. So We got our mushrooms chopped up, trumpet mushrooms ready to go. We are going to do a cup of risotto. You know, that will usually handle about 4 people. And in the risotto, we're also going to put a few shallots and a little bit of white wine. We are of age, and we also have a cocktail coming today for you. You know, in Chicago, the weather today is not the ideal weather.
No.
You know, I thought it was going to be a nice summer day when I prepared your cocktail idea. But what we're going to do today is kind of a summer drink. It's a, you ever had a mint julep? Mm-hmm. Well, this is like my take on a mint julep, but it's going to be with pineapple.
Nice.
So we're going to do, I made some fresh pineapple juice. We're going to do that with a little bit of simple syrup, which is a mix of water and sugar. And we're going to muddle that with some mint, a little bit of pineapple, have a cocktail for dinner, and we'll be good to go. And so let's get the risotto started, and once we'll be right back, we'll start the risotto. For the risotto, we're going to put a little bit of olive oil in our pan, and I'm going to, you can use onions, you can use shallots. I'm going to use shallots today. I prefer shallots. They a little bit milder flavor than a full-on onion for me.
Okay.
We need a little bit of wine here. And I like to use an actual wooden spoon. I've had this risotto spoon for probably like 7 years now. I use it in pretty much most of the places I've worked. I keep the spoon with me. This is my special wooden. That's my lucky spoon. My lucky spoon. So I actually had one of the first chefs I knew actually gave me the spoon. Well, maybe he gave it to me, maybe I took it. Who knows? Who knows the real story? I ended up with the spoon. I've kept it with everywhere I go. You know.
Spoon is here now.
Spoon's here now. It's mine now.
Don't ask any more questions.
It's mine. You can't have it back. So you get the and basically you get the shallots in and you just want to sweat them out. And when I say sweat them out, you want to cook them and they try to start to get a little translucent on you.
Okay.
That's all I want to get to. And once you get to that point, so it should take a couple minutes of that. Then we're going to do 2 cups of the risotto rice. And after you put the rice in, you just basically want to toss it in the oil that you have in the pan. Mm-hmm. So you're coating that. Our stock's coming up to a nice simmer.
Oh, it smells so good.
So
It smells so good.
2 cups of the risotto rice. And you're just going to stir that. You want to get that kind of tossed in with the oil. Mm-hmm. You're just going to let the rice get a little bit toasted. And then we're going to do about half a cup of wine. And it's just pretty much any white wine you want to use. It's not a personal preference. You can use red wine I've made. If you're going to do it with meat, sometimes I'll use a red wine for my risotto. But this is just a white wine, a Sauvignon Blanc. And basically, you're just going to let that wine absorb into the risotto. So once your pan is dry, starting to get dry now. Once it's dry, you can't really see any liquid in it. You're going to go ahead and start adding your stock. And like I said, I do about a half a cup at a time on the stock. So you got the risotto.
Oh my God, it smells so good.
And we're going to do a half a cup of mushroom stock. And like I said, you can do vegetable stock, you can do chicken stock with this. I just chose to make my own stock for this. And basically, like I said, it's a dish of love, so you have to stir it. You got to keep an eye on it. You can't just put it away and say, "Oh, I'll come back and look at that later." You know, so you watch it.
So you really didn't bring any snacks?
No snacks.
All right.
But your tart's coming up. See? Look at that. That's nice.
Oh, yeah, that looks good.
So while that's going, we're going to saute our mushrooms, our asparagus.
Whew. All right.
Butter, just a little bit of butter. You know, the mushrooms, the funny thing about mushrooms is because we're doing them separately, you can really do as much mushrooms as you really want. As you know, mushrooms kind of cook down.
Yeah.
So you can kind of do as many as you want.
There's not really a thing as too much mushroom.
Right.
I don't think that exists.
And like I said, another reason to use like the darker stock, you know, it really has that mushroom look. You know, it's not just the clear look of stock. You can tell that looks very rich. Alright. Like I said, I like mushrooms, so we're going to do...
Oh, that one's no good.
It was no good. It was hanging off on the edge. Like it was...
That poor thing.
It was hanging off on the edge by itself, you know.
Didn't want that one in there. We'll mess
Yeah,
up
we're gonna
a whole lot.
salt our mushrooms.
Not feeding me anything. Terrible.
More stock. We have our tart out. It's nice and golden around the edge there.
Oh, what about these mushrooms? Do I need to do anything?
No.
Okay. I'm not going to be at fault for messing up the whole thing. Tell me what to do.
We'll be okay.
All right.
Good. Turn this down a little bit more. That's the real. All right. See, when you help, food gets done quicker.
Oh, okay.
Turn off that fire. Just turn that fire back on for me, please.
Which one, the back?
The back one.
Oh, this is looking done.
With the mushrooms or the risotto?
The risotto. But you know, if I tasted it, I could probably.
You can help me out. You can
I
tell
could
me.
probably.
And in the relish, I'm just going to throw a little bit of color in, so a little bit of parsley. And finish it off there. Toss a little more olive oil in here to make it more of a relish.
Delish.
I put a little bit of a serrano pepper. I didn't chop it up, but I put it a little bit in the oil. See, that's our goat cheese Swiss chard tart with the caper and pine nut relish.
Yeah.
So I'll let you handle this.
So. This is so good.
Now this is a vegetable medley, a really good one. It has some really good wild mushrooms, some really good asparagus, you know, some peas in there.
That's fantastic.
We'll work the risotto some more. We'll let you finish enjoying the tart over there. A little bit more stock to this. Like I said, you kind of keep it on a low heat. because you want the rice to give up all its starchiness. And like risotto al dente, which is just a little bit of toothsome to it. Some people will overcook risotto where it's mushy, but this way, and risotto is like, if you go in places where the risotto is just kind of clumped on your plate, it should kind of be a little bit loose, kind of flow a little bit.
Okay.
You know, all depends on your school of thought, but my thought is it should be just a little bit
Oh
loose.
man, that's beautiful. We're gonna eat that next.
That's gonna be next.
All right. Works for me.
And we'll cover that right after that. We'll do our eggplant pasta.
Okay. You know, it's on second thought, don't eat before you come, because then you can eat it all.
That's right. You can have.
I had it right the first time.
See?
I've got plenty of space for everything.
You got plenty of room. So what's this? You know, I know you have the new blog you're working on. So what's this new blog?
La Princesa de Pilsen. So I live in Pilsen, as you know.
Right.
And I've lived here for about 6 years. I love this neighborhood. It's just full of warm-hearted people, lots of artists, lots of culture, lots of things going on. So I'm working with ChicagoNow.com and just blogging about what's happening in Pilsen, events. I'm trying to capture a lot of the artwork and murals and street art that's going around in the neighborhood as well, highlight businesses, etc. You know, do what I can for my community. So it's a nice outlet to have. I'm liking it so far.
Yeah, I mean, you've written just a couple articles now? Because I remember it started maybe a couple months ago.
I don't know how many. I have kind of lost count already. But yeah, I've been doing it for a couple of months. And I'm going to be hopefully adding some additional bloggers to it as well that blog more on the politics of the community as well. So just to diversify it and give more people a voice in the community. So pretty excited about it.
Now the Pilsen area, you know, it's been around. Well, everyone knows about the Pilsen area. You know, you used to have the markets down here, and you got Maxwell Street over here.
Yeah.
And, I can remember it being a kid. You know, Maxwell Street used to be a lot bigger than what they
Right.
put it down to the half a block they gave us now.
Yeah.
But I mean, I can remember as a kid, you know, coming in this area with my dad, you know, hanging out in the Pilsen area years and years ago, you know, when I was 10 years old. I can remember coming over this way.
Yeah,
so.
It's definitely a hub for Chicago. It's like everybody spent time in this area somehow, some way, you know. Everybody knows this area, so.
And then all the people from UIC area. That's the
and all the hipster kids.
All the hipster kids.
But we love them. We love the hipster kids and their bicycles and their mustaches. We love them.
And the beards.
And the beard. Funny glasses. Long socks. But you know, there's space for everybody in Pilsen, you know.
Yep. The risotto's almost done. And we're going to season.
Should hit that tart back up. That's what we should do.
You have some. There's more than enough tart. Enjoy the tart. You know, I'm going to continue to do the cooking here.
All right. Well, if you insist.
Yes. Yes, I know. I know you sound heartbroken over there about it.
You insist.
So
carry on. I'm here to support you and
I appreciate that.
Support you in any way I can by evaluating this for you.
And I appreciate that. That's just love for you right there. When they will evaluate the food for you while you cook it.
Well, you need to know if you're doing a good job, you know.
Oh, and I appreciate that. Risotto's going. So while that's use the last of the chicken stock here, we will go ahead and do our eggplant pasta. So what I need to do now, since it's drained out, and then we will rinse the salt off, which is always important. You don't really need to salt this dish because we put so much salt on it to leach the water out. All you need to do basically is rinse it off. Taste it for salt, but you don't really need any more salt.
Okay.
So now we've rinsed off the eggplant. We're going to go ahead and slice it like almost like a noodle.
still be stirring this?
No, it's okay. I turn the heat down. It's just gonna let it finish up on its own. I'm gonna add a little cream, a little butter, a little Parmesan to it. It's gonna be very tasty. And the mushrooms and peas are all ready to go. All right. Get that ready. Let's get a saute pan. So like I said, this dish is relatively easy. Chili flakes, that's just your regular crushed chili flakes, and tomatoes. And a little bit of Parmesan. Like I said, it's almost like, I'm gonna make it almost like a Alfredo sauce almost.
Okay.
You can't go wrong with cream, tomatoes, and parm. I'm just going to de-seed your tomatoes. Just cut the base of the ends off. You put a slice in here, and then you're going to kind of, the easy way to do it is just kind of go around the tomato. It's almost like you're filleting a tomato. And just de-seed it. Real easy. You don't have to cut it out. You don't have to fool around with it. And then pretty much after that, we're just going to dice it up. No losing of fingers. That's key. I don't want you to call me like, I tried that and I lost a finger.
Gonna get now. It's your fault.
And like I said, I know you don't eat a lot of tomatoes, so we're not going to put a ton of tomatoes. But 1 or 2 tomatoes would do.
You know what? This is actually the only way that I do like tomatoes is diced.
Oh, really?
I don't know how you do that. Got the connection.
Got that connection. All right, well, place these this way. So like I said, 1 eggplant will probably feed 1 or 2 people. 2 will do 4. Kind of do it on that measure. Get our cream, some chili flakes, and we'll be ready to get that started. Let's check our risotto here. That's about ready there. All right, so for this pasta, like I said, it's like Alfredo. If you like a lot of spice, that's about a half a teaspoon of chili flakes. You can go some garlic in if you like garlic.
Oh yeah.
It's kind of a personal preference. Once you get that toasted, kind of get a little fragrant going out of that, we're going to throw in our chopped eggplant, our tomatoes, a little bit of cream, about a half cup of cream, and then to finish it off, we're going to do a little bit of Parmesan and a little bit of basil.
Okay, sounds fantastic.
And like I said, this dish is an easy dish to do. It doesn't take long at all. The risotto is ready to go. So we're going to throw in a little bit of Parmesan and a little bit of butter. And like I was telling you about the Parmesan, you can use fresh, you can use a bag. So you like a lot of cheese or no?
Yes, yes.
All right, so we'll throw in a nice good handful of parm, and you want to do just a little bit of butter to help it out. And risotto is one of the dishes, like, as soon as it's done, you want to serve it. Okay, this is ready. We're going to throw in our eggplant, our tomatoes, a little bit of cream, half a cup of cream, risotto, seasoning. You give me the pepper that's in there. Peppermint was in there, maybe. Oh, I have it. Sorry. Peppermint's over here. Need some pepper in there. Nice and al dente. So this is still not large and clumpy. We'll add just a little more vegetable stock. Like I said, I like mine a little bit more thinned out. So more of that. Get your bowl ready.
Awesome. I like this part.
So put a little bit of the vegetables on top. And like I was saying, it's ramp season for the Midwest, which is similar to an onion. So I made a little bit of ramp oil, which is just blanched off ramps with a little bit of olive oil. So I'm going to do a little bit of this to give a little color. So there you go. What do you think?
Fantastic.
It's just eggplant, a little basil, a little cream, and a few tomatoes.
I have never had eggplant like this. I'm really excited. But at first, I guess I have to put one dish down. I could double it, double fist it. I can handle it. Let's just bring it on.
And we'll put a little bit of chopped herbs on top.
Okay.
We'll put you another plate down there. You know. So.
Did you eat my tart? Did
No,
I eat those
you ate the whole tart.
I hope you didn't come over here and try and steal none of my tart.
That was all you. That was all you on the tart.
Man, I need a fork. So I can get up in this. I need to get up in this right here.
There you go.
Ah.
Like I said, for dessert, you know, once you've done a meal like this, you know, you don't kind of want to eat something a little bit lighter since it's all vegetarian. So what I do is a roasted berry. Super simple. It's pretty much taking blackberries, blueberries, and raspberries, put them in a pan, and roasting them until they start releasing their juices. And then you make a lemon zabion, which is just lemon juice, a little bit of egg yolk, and you whisk that over a pot of warm water. 15 minutes, and you have yourself a nice dessert. What do you think about the pasta?
This is awesome.
No pasta.
This is so cool.
Yeah. Everyone's like,
it's
oh.
It's like a lighter, fresher pasta.
Alright, so for the dessert, like I said, it's a real simple dessert. I'm going to take some blueberries, some blackberries, some raspberries, put them in a, you know, any kind of shallow dish. Put it in your oven at maybe about 400 degrees. It takes about 8 minutes. I'm really just going to watch in the pan. You just want to see the berries start to lose their juice and kind of warm up. And in the bowl here, I'm going to put in 3 tablespoons of lemon juice, about a 1/4 cup of water, and about 2 yolks. And like I said, a zabion is usually, sometimes you make zabions out of wine. This one is strictly lemon. And what it'll do, you'll have that tartness with the sweetness that comes from roasting the berries. To kind of complement. And then I'm going to use my blowtorch, put a little caramelized top on top of the sugar. Yeah. We gotta keep an eye on movies.
Fire.
Did your parents let you play with fire?
I like fire.
Oh, jeez.
Love it. I got a problem.
Just a slight one. Just a slight one, yeah.
Don't let me near the blowtorch.
Note to self. And while we're doing that, actually, you know, while we're doing that, I want to have you make the cocktail. So the cocktail we're going to make, it's almost like a mint julep, but it's a pineapple version.
Mm-hmm.
So what you're going to do is, you're going to do some sliced pineapple. I'll slice that up for you. Maybe about 6 pieces of pineapple. You have a cup?
Yes.
You have a cup. Put that in there. Put maybe about 4 or 5 leaves of mint there.
Okay.
While I work on that, I'm going to take 3 egg yolks. Leave my torch alone over there. 3 egg yolks with a 1/3 cup of sugar. I'm going to whisk that until it's frothy. And this is going to be the start of our Savion. Sugar here.
Alright, got my mint leaves.
Okay, you're going to take a spoon or a large spoon and kind of smash those together. I like to call it muddle.
Okay, that's short.
So, egg yolks, sugar. And whisk that together so it's frothy. And the eggs will kind of get a little bit lighter, as you see. They're not as yellow.
Okay.
Pot on the stove. You're going to bring a pot to a simmer. So we turn the pot on, and then you're going to put your bowl over top of the pot, and what that does is that'll cook the eggs. But you got to do it without curdling the eggs. No one likes a scrambled Savion. So you can kind of smell the mint. It's good. All right, you're going to do 1 ounce of the honey vodka, which is this is the only brand I know that makes a honey vodka. It's 42 below.
Okay.
I've never seen it here. I've ordered this from California, but you can smell. It smells like you can smell the honey in there.
That smells great.
So 1 ounce of this. There's a little jigger there. If you look inside, it'll tell you the actual measurement.
Mm-hmm.
You're going to do 1 ounce of that, 1 ounce of pineapple juice, and a 1/2 ounce of gum syrup, which is like a simple syrup.
Okay.
So it's just a sugar and water mix. And we're going to go ahead and get our berries in the oven. So this is probably about 10 minutes on the berries. So we'll get those in and let those start loosening the juice.
Alright, 1 ounce of...
1/2 ounce of that.
1/2 ounce. Okay.
So we're going to get this over a pot. Now remember, when you do, this is a double boiler. And the thing to remember is that you got to watch it. And 2, your bowl shouldn't touch the water. So the bowl should be above the water when you're doing it. Now while that's doing that, I'm going to get 3 tablespoons of lemon juice ready.
And now how much of the pineapple?
You're going to do 1 ounce of pineapple juice.
Okay.
Alright. And I just like to use, since you can get Meyer lemons now, the nice thing about Meyer lemons is that it's a cross between a citrus, like an orange, and a lemon. So it is not as tart as a lemon. It's actually a little bit sweeter. And you can kind of smell them. They don't smell like a lemon. They smell really very fragrant. So I like to use these instead of regular lemons if I can find them. And I like to use those for the zest also, because the zest on these is also very fragrant. So let's get, depending on how large the lemons are, you know, 3 tablespoons could take 2 lemons. It could take 5. Just depends on how large they are and how much juice you can get out of them.
All right, am I ready to shake my shaker?
Yeah, you can shake that up. What'd you do with the pineapple and stuff? You put it in there too?
No. No, didn't.
Put that in there, shake that up. Well, you know what? You can leave it in the glass there, actually.
Yeah?
Yeah, you can leave it in because we'll get some flavor out of that. So we got my lemon juice ready. Check on this. So we go ahead and drain that right in your cup there. And as you see, it starts to thicken up like this. It's getting ready. We're going to go ahead and add our lemon juice. Like I said, 3 tablespoons of lemon juice. Like I said, it's a nice summer dessert. Kind of has that, almost like that lemonade kind of a feel. Okay. Like that. And basically, you're gonna let this cook until it starts to thicken up. Again. And I almost get like a foam almost.
Okay.
Try a cocktail. You have to tell me how it turned out.
Oh man, that's delicious. You can really taste that honey. It's super strong.
Berries are cooking. This is going. Like I said, as soon as it gets thick, so you're probably looking 10 minutes on this. So what we'll do, we'll finish this up and we'll come back and we'll be ready for dessert.
Nice.
Our berries are ready. They released the juices. So what we're going to do, we're going to get these plated in a bowl. Our Zabillon is all done. As you can see, it's thickened up. It's almost like a pudding or a custard. So what we'll do is we'll go ahead and get berries placed in a bowl. You can put them in any kind of bowl. I just kind of like these bowls. I think they're nice and classic and kind of new wave. And you try to get all the berries you have in here in. Take a little bit of the Zabillon. Try to get the Zabillon right on top there. And everybody loves a good fire show, so we'll put a little bit of sugar on it. And we use our torch. And you just want to get a little caramelized on top there.
Yeah.
All right.
Where can you buy those?
That you can actually get at
Jewel?
No, you can't. You can get smaller versions of Jewel, but you can get a torch like that torch at like a culinary store.
I need dishes that I can torch.
So that's the dessert there. Let's get some
that looks great.
spoons.
I'm gonna eat that. I'm gonna eat it. Yeah. Thank
All
you.
right. Nice crispy coating on top there. lemony.
Mm-hmm.
Goes with the berries. Really light and summery, you know. It's a little warm, but you can kind of deal with that.
It's fantastic.
And the berries, I said, the berries are so sweet with that lemon. Works out well. Well, you've been watching Dining with Mr. Wright. I am Chef Mark Wright, and remember, success is a journey, not a destination. Thank you for watching. Welcome to Dining with Mr. Wright. I'm your host, Chef Mark Wright. Now, you know we like to do our Sunday dinners, and everyone loves a good pot roast or pork tenderloin for Sunday dinner. But this Sunday... Welcome to Dining with Mr. Wright. I'm your host, Chef Mark Wright. Now, you know we like to do our Sunday dinners, and everyone loves a good pot roast or pork tenderloin for Sunday dinner. But this Sunday... Well, that has been our Sunday's Father's Day episode, so happy Father's Day to the fathers out there. Excuse me, hold on a second. Sorry about that. So that was our Father's Day edition. Our next episode will be something a little bit different. We're going to do a Spanish theme, a paella. So I even went as far as getting myself a nice, large paella pan. So on our next show, we'll be doing paella, a nice white summer sangria with some peaches, some cherries, some grapes, and then a little bit of a key lime flan we're going to do for the next show. Our next guest will actually be, she's writes books, so met her recently, so that's going to be our next guest coming up. Hope you enjoyed the show. I will still be around in the chat room if you have some questions about the show. You can also reach Chelsea Porter on Twitter. She's Chelsea S. Porter. You can hit her up about her book if you want to get copies of that. And I also will be giving a book to the viewers. Probably next couple of weeks we'll have one available. We'll have a little contest, and we'll give out one of her books out this summer. So hope you enjoyed the show. Hope you learned some new techniques, saw some interesting food, something you want to learn. And we'll see you in a couple of weeks. Have a good evening.